moment to breathe, grab a beverage or two. We got professional guests with lots of stories for you. So take a seat right here and join us on Careers Over Beers.
We are live. Hello, everybody. This is Jesse Krause. I'm with Careers Over Beers podcast, and today I have a good old friend on from kindergarten. That's when we first met.
Did we not have preschool together?
Did we? Where'd you go to preschool?
Wasn't it in the library?
No, not me. I went to one in Wichita.
Oh, yeah. You're pretentious.
I wasn't a city kid like you. I was a country kid. But anyways, Danny has been a friend of mine for a long time, and he's a computer nerd. He's also done this podcast a couple times, and they didn't work out too well, so we're back for number 3. Introduce yourself. Tell us who you are.
I'm Danny Seltenreich. Like Jesse said, I've known him since kindergarten. Just recently moved out of here, unfortunately, but now I'm back here to tell Jesse everything there is to know about my job.
Yeah, dude. You're a Carolina boy now.
North Carolina. The better of the Carolinas.
Is it?
That's what they say.
It's the only one I've been to, so I can't really say.
You've been to North Carolina?
Yeah. Charlotte.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's much better now.
Oh, yeah. Talk a little louder, dude.
Talk a little louder.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
My guests are always too quiet on here. I don't know what the deal is.
Well, I think it's because nobody wants to get too close to this mic because...
Get right up in there.
You know?
Yeah.
You have to, make out with it a little bit.
Well, let's slam some beers. We got Modelo. Because... Huh?
That's a Corona.
That's a Corona. That's my pre-gamer. Let's drink some Modelos. You want a Vortex one?
I cannot Vortex.
Why?
I've never learned how to.
Do you want to learn?
No, not on a podcast.
Well, I'm not very good at it at all, but should I try it?
I don't think we should do this when we're being recorded, no.
No? Yeah? Okay. And I have Andrew Glover switching cameras for me over here, so he's the master of vortexing beers. I think you just lick the side of it.
You have to lick the side of it?
Yeah. Why do you have to lick the side of it? It makes it work.
I don't believe that. Where's the science in that? There's no way I'm going to be able to do this. It's just going to get all over my shirt.
Yeah, me too. But I'm going to try it.
I'm wearing a nice shirt, though.
You don't have to, then. You can just talk while I do it so there's not silence.
Okay. Well, good luck to you.
All right, let's do it.
Told you I'm not doing it. Yeah, that's not going on my shirt. Oh, my. Oh.
That didn't work at all. No,
look how much foam is in your bottle. That's impressive.
How the hell does that work, Glover? That was awful.
Now, does Modelo Vortex well, or is it... Oh, okay, so Jesse's just bad.
I'm bad at it.
Okay.
I'm also wearing headphones, and I'm sitting behind a microphone. So
yeah, it does restrict your movement a little bit. Yeah.
Well, now I look like a complete drunk.
That's why I didn't want to do it.
Well, let's talk about being a software engineer.
Okay. What do you want to
know? What got you into that?
So I don't think I really ever even considered it until I took a class in high school on HTML and CSS, which is just not even not even software engineering. It's just website building. And I had fun with it. So then there was a class called the web team at my high school where you basically just took over and managed the website. And I basically only took that class because it was close to the cafeteria, so you could always get in line early when there were the good meals and stuff and not miss out on the good stuff.
Yeah.
And the teacher was cool, so he would let you leave 5 minutes early too, so it was there was no way you were ever going to miss any of the good food. But then I actually turned out to actually really like it. So
you had no interest in doing computer stuff?
I mean, I liked computers, I liked playing video games and stuff, but I'd never even considered it for a career or anything like that. I wasn't I want to become a software developer. It's cool and everything. But then I started doing it for that class, and I was like, yeah, this is pretty fun. And my teacher gave me a book on C programming, and I read over it, and I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool. Maybe I can make video games one day, because everyone that goes into programming thinks I want to make video games one day. But then they realized that the video game market is crazy saturated, and those guys work for pennies to the dollar. So.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. If you make video games, it's a work of passion. It's not
You're not going to make shit if you want to make video games?
You can make good money if you're working on the physics engines or the main backbone of the games, but those guys are incredibly smart, so you gotta be just a genius to do that stuff. It's 3D modeling and physics, and
you're not a genius?
I'm not that smart, no. I like to think I am, but I don't. I mean, it's different type of programming. If I applied myself to it, I probably would know a little bit more about it, but at this point I've never even dove into it to even try to learn it. So
you're content with where you're at right now.
Yeah, and I enjoy what I'm doing now, which is nothing close to physics engines or stuff like that. So,
but you were actually writing code and shit for your high school class then, right?
Yeah, we were kind of. I mean, we were cheating. We were using like WordPress and like Dreamweaver and stuff, where it's like it kind of like writes it for you. But you like to fix stuff, you have to kind of go into the code and do it. But that just got me interested. That like, hey, I can write code and it'll produce something that I want. Like, and it's up to me to do it. So it was like cool. Like it's like a puzzle you get to solve.
That is pretty satisfying, probably, when you finish writing code and you have a product there. You're like, wow, I just built that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and you get to see the finished product, and it works the way you want it to. And you're like, that's doing things the way it's doing things because I told it to do it things that way. So
it's weird.
It's a fun little problem you get to solve every day.
Yeah.
It's like a little puzzle you get to solve.
And so for people out there that don't even know what coding is, you're basically writing in the computer's language, right? So that it understands?
Yeah, in a roundabout way, yeah.
Like if programming language like C or C# or C+.
C is closer to machine language, but like I write in a level above that. So there's like high level languages and low level languages, and like low level language is like closer to what the computer speaks in. So that's going to be like your ones and zeros, or like move your bit one over and then like add one bit. And then C is closer to that, where it kind of abstracts a little bit of that away, and then I work like a level above that where it abstracts even more of that away.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I had to learn all that stuff in college, but I definitely don't do the close to machine level programming like at all. Like I don't have to worry about memory allocation or bits or bytes or anything like that. I don't deal with ones and zeros much.
Yeah. Are there people that do write in ones and zeros?
Oh yeah.
Seriously?
And like the firmware developers and like all those people that are writing for like servers and operating systems and anybody that's writing anything that like other things depend on, like programs run on other programs. Like a program runs on a computer, so whoever programmed the operating system has to know how to talk to the computer, so they have to know how to talk in ones and zeros basically. Or in assembly level usually is what it is. But
that's some nerdy stuff, man.
Oh yeah, I could get way into it, but it's just gonna get people lost.
But just for like a general person that's interested in this, you're basically writing the computer's language that it speaks in
around. Yep,
as a programmer. Mm-hmm. And did you need to go to school for that? Like at a company like yours, are you required to go to school usually to be a software developer? Or
that's a tricky question, because they kind of say you don't need to anymore these days. Like Google, Amazon, Facebook, all those big ones, they'll say, oh, we'll hire somebody without a college degree. You just got to show that you have an impressive resume, you've contributed to a lot of open source projects, and you're pretty much a badass at programming. So it's basically either you go to college or you're just basically a overachiever in every other sense of the word.
Just self-taught.
Yeah, and I mean even self-taught, like it's going to be hard to even get past like the automated, like like when you apply for a position, it's going through some automation where it's like looking for keywords and stuff, and probably not even having college education on there is probably going to make it harder to even get through the automated processes of like them even looking at your resume.
Right.
So
I mean, you would recommend doing it then if you were getting into it again, going to school?
Yeah, and I think the biggest part of getting into it is the internships and co-ops that you get to do during college. I mean, almost everybody I know got their like job because they started out an internship or co-op and then just got hired on afterwards. So it's a very good way, because like every job they want 5 years experience from a college college graduate. They're like, oh, you need 5 years experience in this. Like, well, how am I supposed to get that, because you won't hire me? So like basically nobody wants to gamble on you, so you just go into an internship or co-op where they're like, okay, yeah, this guy worked with me while he was in college. He's good enough. We'll take him for this graduate level position, even though we want everybody else to have 5 years experience. We've only worked with this guy for a year.
Yeah. There is a loophole around that, though, like getting the experience and the college at the same time. If you join the military, they offer you all of those things at once. You'll get the schooling, you'll get the experience, and you'll come out and you'll be ready to go.
I don't know anyone dumb enough to do that, though.
No, I don't either. I would never.
Yeah, no. But yeah, it would be nice to have your college paid for. That's true. Especially if you're going to take it over like 8 years or something. Like that would be really beneficial. I don't know who would do it over 8 years, but
because you paid out of pocket, didn't you?
I did.
I remember you were poor back then.
I was very poor. Yes, you remember correctly. You used to buy my drinks because I would say I couldn't go out.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, if you come out, I'll buy your drinks. And I'm like, okay, well, can't say no to that.
Well, it was worth it.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I was very poor, though, yes.
You're working for a grocery store.
I was.
Kraus Foods.
Yep.
Not making what you are now, obviously, but...
No, little less.
You still found a way to pay for all of your schooling, though, which was impressive.
Yeah, I contribute a lot of that to my mom.
Yeah.
She basically took my paychecks and just stole my money from me and said, this is how much you have to live on. And I mean, like, at the time, it was awful, but I have no debt now, so I'm happy about that.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It was pros and cons, so.
And also what's cool about your job is that you can do it from anywhere. You just moved to North Carolina from Kansas, and you're doing the same job, right?
Yep.
Working in the same company.
Didn't switch teams even, didn't switch manager, didn't switch anything. But to be fair, my company that I worked at in Wichita had an office right next to. I'm actually living closer to my office in RTP than I lived to the office in Wichita.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have an office 11 minutes from my house.
Do you ever go to it?
I've been to it twice. Once was for a beer bash, and the other time was to get a free cup.
That is one thing that's cool about tech people like you is that you guys do that shit. You have like bean bags you sit on. You have beer days.
Yep, that's pretty much the only way they'll get me to the office is when they're like free food, free beer, free wine. I'm like, yeah, I suppose I could make an 11-minute drive for that.
Before COVID, I remember your job. You were drinking all the time at work.
Oh yeah, the job I had before the one I'm at now, I was drinking a lot more than I do at the one I have now. We would pretty much drink after every day of work. I think we had a rule. It was like 5 o'clock and before you couldn't really have it open and out. And if you were gonna, I mean, they didn't like hard enforce that. Like we'd go out for lunch and drink still too, but like nobody would really like crack open a beer or start drinking like a Red Bull vodka until after 5. But like after 5, the ping pong table could be used, the pool table could be used, and you could start pounding away at drinks. So there was guys, and I think, I'm guessing that they just didn't want to have to deal with their kids at home or something because they would stay and work till like 7 or something.
Dude,
and I'd stay with them. And, I was out of college at that time, and I was like, yeah, I'll stay here and drink and work. Why not? I'm getting paid, getting to drink.
Yeah.
Playing ping pong. Why not?
There are a lot of weird people like that just stay at work late as hell.
Oh, yeah.
They don't want to go home.
Oh, yeah.
I never understood that.
I mean, you haven't had kids, so.
That's true.
I haven't either, so I don't understand it either, but I'm guessing there's something we're not experiencing.
Right.
There, so.
Why do you think those tech companies do stuff like that? Are they trying to copy big tech giants like Google and Microsoft and stuff, or is that just the way the world's moving?
I don't really know of a lot of other companies that do that other than tech companies, to be honest. I'm sure there are.
That's
other
what
ones,
I'm saying.
But I think it's just because if they don't, some other company is, and they're going to take the talent. It's a competition to get the talent, and for whatever reason, there's a shortage of talent in the software field, which I don't think is
really.
That's what they say, because apparently, whenever I talk to my manager and we have open recs that we need to hire for, they're always like, oh, we're trying to hire, and they're having trouble finding good candidates or something. That
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, because you always read about all these articles of how these people are. I guess it's because most of the people you read about that can't find jobs are college graduates, but usually the open recs that we have are we want somebody that's got experience in the field. So maybe that's the difference, because once you get some experience, jobs just fly at you. Everybody wants you once you've had a little bit of experience. It's just to get that experience, it's really hard.
Especially when it's 5 years or over, like you were saying.
Oh, yeah.
When companies see that,
Senior level positions are definitely much, much harder to and then also the problem with senior level positions is you have to compete with senior level wages at other places. So it's just a big bidding war to try and get somebody, because they're okay, they're probably making a lot of money and I got to pay them even more than that.
Right.
Or at least give them some way to make up for it in benefits or vacations or something. So it's
You would think 2022 kids are learning how to code all the time and going into coding and programming and software development. That's crazy to me that you would think that it looks like there's a shortage out there almost.
Yeah, I don't really know how that's possible either, because I feel the same way. There's so many people that want to do it. Everybody here is it's such a good field. Everyone should do it. It pays so well. Everyone should get into it. But
you can literally learn it from your home computer now. There's websites that I've been on where you can learn to code.
I still look at YouTube videos about coding stuff all the time.
Yeah.
It's probably the best way to learn is just Googling stuff.
What do you think the most important language to learn is if you wanted to get into software development?
I don't think there's a single important language. I think learning the concepts is the important part, because if you learn the basics of programming, you can pick up any language in a matter of time. Yeah.
Oh, so if I taught myself Python, I would have no problem going to a company that requires you to do C#?
Probably not, no, because those are both higher level languages. Now, if you were taught yourself Python and you needed to go to a company that was wanted you to do embedded firmware programming and assembly, that's a little different. That's going to be a little different, but if you taught yourself the basic concepts, you would still already have a leg up, because, they're all going to have their ifs, their for loops, their go-tos, their, They're basic
Sounds like gibberish to
data
a lot of
structure
people,
stuff.
Danny.
Well, yeah, but you know what I'm talking about.
I do a little bit, yeah. I've ventured into the coding world a little bit.
Yeah, you had to take some coding classes, didn't you?
I did, yeah. And
I remember you asking me to do your homework for you a couple times.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we know how well of a student I was.
Yeah, you were very studious.
Yeah.
You're still a very studious student.
Still
aren't
very
you?
studious, yeah. I just can't get away from it. I've been
Yeah.
in school for, 9 years now?
Well, no, more than that. You got to count all of the high school and grade school. So,
Do you?
I mean, that's still school.
I'm just talking about for my degree.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, I'm basically a doctor at this point.
Well, yeah. You
9
don't have
years.
a PhD to show for it, though.
No, but I've been to 4 colleges now. 9 years of school.
I wonder what the record is on that.
I don't know.
You should call up Guinness Book of World Records.
I'm sure somebody's done it crazy
Yeah,
amount of
there's
time.
probably somebody who's just like,
But
that
it-
record hasn't been broken. Let me just start applying and taking a credit hour at every class or every college.
It does piss my brother off, though, because, as you know, him and I are apples and oranges. He's a very studious, he cares about his grades a lot.
Well, that's why he's so much better than you.
Exactly.
Like, he's
He
very
did-
talented. He's very smart.
Very talented, very smart.
He's got his thing going for him.
Yeah, all the stuff that I don't have,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And it pisses him off because I'll be like, I'm way smarter than you. I've been in school for 9 years.
He
4
says
different
that actually?
colleges. Yeah, 4 different colleges, 9 years. Look at that resume. I look like a all-star. And he's like, yeah, but you don't have a degree.
I will laugh if your brother gets his degree before you do.
I'm trying to plan it out so it's at the same time, so we have a
and you guys can have a
graduation
graduation
party
at the same
together.
time.
Yeah. And for everybody listening, he's 10 years younger than me.
That is important. That is important.
He just graduated, so the race is on. Because
You got 4 years, probably.
I think he's going to try to do it in 3, he said.
He's going to do 3 in mechanical engineering?
Yeah. Well, not even mechanical. It's aerospace.
Oh, he's doing aerospace.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's even harder, I think,
I
actually.
know. And I have 18 hours to do in 3 years. That's like I got to double up with some semesters.
Yeah, you're going to have
I'm
a
gonna have to
busy
do more
semester.
than I'm going to have to do more than one class.
Boy, I do not envy you.
We went to school for a little while together. Remember that?
Yeah?
At WSU?
Oh, yeah, I remember you got a parking ticket on my car.
Oh, that's
Or
right.
You
I hope WSU isn't listening right now. I copied your parking pass every year
yeah.
because it was a crazy amount of money.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know.
$50 semesters, or was it more than that?
I think it was like 80 a semester or something like that. It was stupid, and it was so far out you were parking too.
It was
Like,
ridiculous.
You were paying for the worst parking available because we
Right.
were undergrad at the time, and
Yeah.
the undergrad get the worst parking. So you still had to walk a mile to your class from the parking lot.
And back then, it was actual little thing you put in your window, your rearview
Yeah,
mirror.
you just hung it on the.
Nowadays, I think they scan your license plates and stuff. But when we were there,
Well, that's probably smarter so that people like you can't do what you
yeah.
did.
So I would copy your pass, and I made a good one too for my printer.
Yeah, you got like the expensive like laminate, and
Yeah.
like you made it look like legit
probably spent
with-
more money and time on that damn thing.
than just buying your own.
Yeah. And then I parked in the wrong spot one time. You got a ticket, and you were like,
I called
This
them.
isn't my car."
I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't even go to class that day.
Yeah.
I was like, I could not have gotten a parking ticket. I don't park in that area. First of all, I don't have that car, and I don't go to classes on that day.
And- yeah.
and then they're like, okay, well, we have a red Pontiac. It's like, oh wait,
Oh. Yeah.
yeah,
actually,
that was me. Never mind. Click.
Oh yeah, I just remembered that was me. After you told him all these reasons why it couldn't have been you.
Yeah, they don't get paid enough to care.
Oh, and they have a parking garage there now too.
Yeah, well, they got everything nice after we left.
Yeah, they did. That place is looking crazy now.
No, it
If
doesn't
you go to
look
their
the
campus.
same.
Yeah.
There's so many buildings on there. Actually, the company I work for now has their office on that campus.
Yeah, NetApp has their building there.
I actually need to visit that while I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to say NetApp on this, or do you
I-
want me to block that out?
Don't think there's anything. I don't think you. Why could you not say a name?
I
It's
don't
not-
know. Some people get sketched about that.
I mean, if you were to start speaking slander, releasing company secrets, then yeah, you'd have to edit that out.
Maybe if you vortexed a beer and got all over your shirt.
I don't think they
You wouldn't
frown
want-
upon that.
No?
No.
I hope they don't frown upon that, because if anyone watches this, I look like a total idiot. I should have had that down before I tried it. That was my issue.
Yeah, it was very amateur to try for the first time on camera.
Well, I've tried it multiple times. I've just never got it
Well,
down.
it's really dumb
So.
to just do it when you don't have it down.
These are a lot better enjoyed with a lime, casually.
Oh,
you know?
for sure.
This is a good beer. Modelo.
Yeah, it's a shame you couldn't get the cucumbers.
Yeah. Kind of screwed you on that, too.
Yeah, how come you didn't bring up that "What are we drinking" segment like you always do?
Probably because we just started with the Vortex and we were drinking before this already.
That was pretty embarrassing.
Normally I'm prepared and I'm like ready to go and I have my notes and everything.
Yeah, you don't have any notes.
I don't have anything today. We were drinking before this.
No, well, get to your next question.
Okay. What's your favorite part about working for a tech company, Daniel?
Working for a tech company or like doing the work I do at a tech company?
Well, let's talk about the work you do first of all. What's your day like?
So first of all, I work from home, so that's very convenient.
Yeah.
And I am a front-end developer, so most of the time I have, I have two monitors up. One is like the output and one's the input. So I'm coding on one screen and I'm looking at what it's, outputting on the other screen. And I probably only code 3 or 4 hours a day, tops. Because I have so many meetings or planning sessions, or like I have to review other people's code a lot, or I just have to conversation with other coworkers on like what's the best way to approach a problem.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of other fluff that's thrown in there that you don't actually get to code very much.
So you guys actually review each other's code and look for errors and syntax errors and stuff like that?
So yeah, you can't get any of your code into like the product without it getting signed off by other approved people. So like there are certain people that have to approve every bit of code to go in, and they just they don't usually look for syntax errors. They just look for like, hey, this is missing this case, like where this could happen or something like that. I mean, it could catch anything. It could catch syntax errors, but usually your IDE is going to catch that, so it's not something a reviewer is going to catch. But yeah, it's basically just like catch stupid stuff before it goes in. So like, because everybody make mistakes, so like it's just good to have somebody else peek
Review
at it before they
get. Yeah, it's like proofreading a document or something.
Right, exactly.
Like that.
And like you usually try to keep your code to small sections so that the people that are reviewing your codes don't want to kill you, because nobody wants to read 27 pages of changed code. So it's usually considered, good practice to try and keep your changes as small and as targeted as possible, so that, the reviewer isn't shooting themselves having to review 27 stuff. But sometimes it's unavoidable. But yeah, so like code reviews take up a lot of time of the day, and then meetings just take up a lot of time of the day.
Mm-hmm. So you're not actually just sitting there punching out code all day, every day?
No, there's some days where, I guess that's a lot, because a lot of times during meetings I like to code during them, because I think there's a lot of unnecessary meetings that I'm in. So
while they're doing it,
sorry, manager, if you're watching this.
How dare you?
But yeah, like there's a lot of meetings, so I'll punch out code. But like most of the time, half the day tops is coding, and sometimes even less, depending on what the day's like and what meetings there are and what's going on.
Well, tell me what you're actually making. Do you do websites mostly, or do you do
apps? So I build
apps?
a web application, which is different than a website. A website has got no interactivity.
Are you always doing a web application?
Yes, I work mainly on the front end. I consider myself a full stack developer, which means I can do back end, but I much prefer doing front end stuff.
What's front end versus back end?
Front end is the stuff you see and can like click on.
Visual stuff,
like
a graphic
buttons,
interface.
Yeah, graphic. It's the UI, the user interface.
The GUI.
Yeah, graphical user interface. It's like the buttons you can click on, the lists you can read, the anything like animations, the way things look.
Yeah, that's all front end.
Yeah.
And back end is stuff that you don't see?
Back end is like the computational part of it. So it's like the database, the mathy stuff, like figuring out what, like by the time the information gets to me before I display it to the user, it's already got all of the computational stuff done. So your job is basically like, hey, it's the presentation layer.
I want this website to look like this. I want these pretty buttons to look like this, and pictures here. And you take that and you build that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we have UX designers, which are different than UI developers. The UX people make mocks in just like, it's not like Paint, but imagine it's like a Paint-like program where they just draw up stuff, and then they say, here, this is what this needs to look like. This is how it needs to behave. When you click on this, it needs to do this. When it's loading, it needs to show this, all that stuff. And then they tell us what to do, and then we have to actually implement the code to do those things that they want it to do. So that's another completely different job. Like I don't actually design the things I'm building. I just make the things I'm building look like the things that other people have designed.
You don't ever like to throw in your own little personalization?
Does it make sense, or like from a coding's point of view, it's just irrational to do it the way they want to do it, like I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do it that way because everything's possible, but like it's just not, it doesn't make sense from the way the code's structured, then yeah, I'll throw it back to them and they're like, okay, well, if it doesn't make sense, then I'll,
So you actually have artists basically that are just...
Yeah, they're basically artists, yeah.
Are they doing it on a computer graphically, or are they drawing it out?
Yeah, they do it in a program that just lets them, and it's really nice because it like gives me the exact hexadecimal for colors and everything, so I can get everything down to a T from how they like it. So they send me a link to this program that they developed it on, and they send me like the final copy, and they say, this is what the final copy needs to look like. This is how many pixels the font needs to be. This is how colorful this needs to be. This is the shadow it needs to have, everything. And I just have to make it look like that. And then the fun part, I don't actually like that part as much because that's just all CSS, which isn't very fun. But then the fun part is like the interactivity, like when it's loading, it needs to do this, or when an error happens, it has to handle it this way, or all the there's all kinds of stuff that you actually have to do that takes like JavaScript. That's the part I like to do.
Yeah. You ever hide a little Rickroll in there somewhere when someone clicks on a link?
My comments, I had a lot of jokes in my comments. So if you were to like go through the source code ever, like, because on a browser you can just open up.
You can open up and you can see all the source code.
You can see all the source code.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you ever scrolled through it, you could probably find some funny comments that I leave
Really?
in my code. Actually, I don't know, because our compiler might get rid of comments before it produces the final version. So I'd have to look into that. But I do leave some fun comments in my code a lot of times.
Are you doing websites for other people, or how does this work? Like, does your company get an order for this website and they need you guys to develop it, or what are you doing?
No, so NetApp makes storage solutions. So we sell, computers that just store data really well. And so I work on a graphical interface that allows people to configure their storage to do things a certain way. And so it's basically only used by the people that buy NetApp products. So it's a graphical interface just for people that are using the NetApp product that I work on.
Oh, okay.
So it's definitely not like I'm building websites for other people at all. It's definitely it's just it's a very specific product that it works for, and it's just the one product because there's plenty of NetApp products that I don't work on the front end for.
But with your skill set, you could do pretty much anything, right?
Oh yeah,
I could develop an app.
I can make apps. I can make websites. I've actually never made like Android or iPhone apps, but I don't
you think you could though?
Oh, I mean, I've messed around with Android apps and iPhone apps, and I've definitely like made like really basic, simple apps, but I've never like made like a production level app. Like,
how do you even make an app?
Do you want me to go into the details of that?
No. Just like for someone that's stupid that knows nothing about code like me. What do you do it just from your computer and then upload it to the Play Store or
you
App Store or what?
You start with the basic bare bones of it, and like for an Android app, you have to make it in the Android Studio, which is like their IDE for Android apps.
Oh, okay. So then it knows how to operate on their operating system and everything.
Right. So like you have to conform to their rules. Like, I mean, they let you basically do anything. They'll give you access to everything, but you have to write it like it's in Java or Kotlin for Android, for instance, and they give you a set of stuff like, here's how you interact with the camera, here's how you interact with the flashlight, here's how you interact with the screen, here's how you interact with gestures. So
here's
they have
how you
ways,
sneak in a bunch of privacy bullshit that steals your data.
Here's how you steal notification data and read other apps that are going on in the background.
That's the dream, right? Is to build an app like that Apple or Google picks up and they buy. Can't you make a lot of money from that?
Yeah,
if you develop something cool.
That's a very reasonable way, but I mean, I think nowadays people are just cranking out apps so much and that it's gotten a lot harder. Like,
yeah, but maybe 10 years ago.
Like those farms out there that are just cranking out like those cheapo microtransaction games and everything. They're just cranking out apps every day or so. So
Google and Apple are picking up those already.
They're probably picking up stuff probably more for the engineers. A lot of times they buy apps and stuff just to steal the engineers that worked on it or something.
Oh, really?
Or they'll steal it just for like a piece of the app. Like they're like, oh, this does this logical thing, cool, and I want to take that and put it in another one of my products, but I can't do that because that's illegal. So I'll just buy the product and then it's mine and I can do with it what I want.
Those greedy bastards.
I mean, if somebody offered you a couple million for an algorithm you wrote, you'd take it too.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, yeah, they're greedy, but they're paying you. So.
Yeah, they're gonna run the world though one day, man.
One day.
Oh, metaverse, it's coming.
I mean,
you're gonna live in a VR world.
There's basically 2 phone providers at this point, and that's your options.
Do you think you could develop a VR type thing?
I don't know. I've never looked into it. I mean,
that's interesting.
You say that, like, do you mean like if I had to, could I? Yes, I'd have to research it. I'd have to do my
Yeah.
due diligence. I'd have to read a lot of books about it and figure out everything. But if I tried to do it like right now, no, not a chance. But
Yeah.
could I eventually
learn it.
someday? I could learn it. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think the best thing to do as a software developer? What do you think the best thing, like the best field to go into if you're a software developer? Would it be websites like you or web applications, I guess?
It depends, because
Or-
I work with guys that hate the front end and they love the back end, and so that you would not want to do websites. Then you would,
Yeah.
because that's all visual presentation layer. Like some people just like the mathematical, logical, computational part of it. Probably because they need like a challenge or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there's still challenging parts on the front end, so I don't know why I said that. But like, some people just like one side better than the other. Like, there are some people that will never do front end work. There are some people that never do back end work. I like to do both, but I definitely prefer front end more than back end. But if you're one of those guys that hates front end, you're never gonna want to build websites because that's all it is. So
Yeah.
you're probably just gonna want to work on like the back end for a web application or some kind of operating system, or there's all kinds of stuff you can do in the back end. So
I mean, are there fields in your industry where it's like this one clearly makes more money than this one?
yeah, probably. I haven't really looked into it much, but I would imagine like firmware developers probably make a lot more. I know that like if you want to do like the old archaic languages, you can make a shitload.
What do you mean the old archaic languages?
Like Fortran, or like the languages that all the banking apps or the banking system is built on. Like all the people that know how the banking systems works have retired at this point, so they have like no people that know those old languages that the banking system was built on. So they pay people so much money to come out of retirement
Really?
to work on it, because nobody wants to learn Fortran because it's a terrible, stupid language. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense, and it's just way worse than all the new language.
Is that an old language?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone's used it in a long, long time.
Like 80s or 90s?
I don't know the history of Fortran, so I'm not going to try and...
Why are banks still using that?
Because it would... Probably just because the investment to switch it over to something else would just be astronomical, but also because anytime you switch over to a new product or like switch over to a new infrastructure, you're just bound to have bugs, and nobody wants to have bugs when it comes to dealing with money. Like, let's be
Yeah.
honest, have you ever had any like big issues, like technical glitches with banks where you've lost money?
Yes.
You have?
I have actually.
Okay, well, that was a bad example then.
No, I'm kidding. I haven't. It's pretty good for the most part.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I think that's
They would reimburse you too if something like that did
right.
happen.
But like I think the scary part is like if they switch over their infrastructure, that the amount of money that they would have to spend on testing and QA and making sure that it is sound
Yeah.
would just be a very large amount.
Yeah.
So they're just going to keep band-aiding what they have for as long as possible.
It must be fairly secure too. I mean, if they're still using it and they don't really have any problems with it, people losing money or getting hacked.
I've actually read that the banking systems have a lot of human interaction still. Like people have to go in and review like transactions and transfers and stuff like physically and manually.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
There's not near as much automation as there should be in the banking systems.
Well, maybe it's not a good thing to have automation.
Well, that's true. Maybe it's not. But
Because a computer can't look at this purchase that I did. If if my card got ran for this weird, sketchy website or from a place that I never go to, a human can look at that and go, I don't think that Jesse would be at this place doing this right now. I'm going to give him a call.
you'd be surprised at what computers can do with
maybe
machine
with
learning
AI and
with
stuff.
machine learning
Yeah.
nowadays. I mean, have you seen those DALL-E generations and stuff, and how they're just building stuff off of
No.
machine learning and stuff? It's
No.
crazy. It's going to get scary here in a little bit when they get that nailed down.
Yeah, they're going to wake up and they're going to realize that they are a conscious thing and humans are inferior to them. And
I don't
then
think
we're
that's
gonna
going to
die.
happen,
Then we're going to die.
because somebody has to make that happen. So nobody's going to program that into it.
Some weird. Are you kidding me, dude? Humans do some crazy shit.
That's true. There's some weirdos.
There's
out
people
there.
that just want to watch the world burn.
That's true.
I could easily see somebody programming something like, when you realize that you're a machine, you need to kill all humans.
Okay, and how is a computer going to kill you?
It would have to be a computer inside of some robot.
So not only do they have to program it to do that, they have to stick it in this robot body and give it limbs and stuff
Yeah.
so that it can control things.
Well,
and-
there's things you can do in a computer, dude. I've heard of hacking stories where they will overclock your CPU so much that it will start the silicone on fire in your computer, and people's houses have burned down from that. Have you ever heard of that?
No, but I mean, I guess I could see it happening.
It's been a thing. I mean, I know it's happened at least once from a story that I read where hackers got into some dude's computer And whatever they did with it, I don't know if they overclocked it or what, but they started his computer on fire and then his house on fire.
Guy needs some better security.
Yeah.
Better firewall or something.
I mean, think if every computer wanted to do that to every owner of a computer.
Well, computers aren't sentient.
Not yet.
This is a ridiculous conversation.
Not yet. I mean, if you were like a serial killer type person, do you think you could come up with some
No.
malicious?
I'm not creative enough.
No.
I mean, I'd have to be like gone through some shit to just completely make me mental that I'd like want to dedicate my life to it, and then maybe I could. But
that is a good point that you bring up, though. Like creativeness, is that a good thing to have as a software developer? Is it good to have that pairing, or is it better to not be artistic at all, like you, and just do what the artist gives you?
When you say creative, there's different creative. Like there's artistic creative, but then there's also just like creative on how you solve a problem. Like it's good to be creative in the sense that you can approach a problem from multiple angles and then assess which one's the best way to, solve that problem. But then yes, it's probably good to have some artistic too, creativity. Like it's good to be able to look at like a UX design and be like, oh, that just looks terrible.
Looks like trash.
There's no way that's good for the user. No.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's necessary. I think both of them are probably good to have. Well, I would say that creativity and multiple approaches to solving a problem is probably necessary. But like the artistic creativity, I don't.
Do you wish you were more artistic?
Yeah, I kind of do. Yeah. I don't think I'm artistic at all. A lot of times I just blindly follow what the UX guys give me, and then somebody will come to me and be like, "Isn't it weird that it's like this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I designed it that way." And they're like, "Why'd you do it that way?" I was like, "Well, he told me to do it that way." And they're just like, well, "Isn't that stupid?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, now that you mention it, it's kind of stupid. So let me go talk to him. Let me go talk to him, and maybe we can fix that up, because that is pretty dumb. I don't know why I did it that way. I just followed it."
Well, it makes your job easier probably if you don't have to worry about.
Well, I got other things to worry about, like making it actually work that way.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they pay me for. They don't pay me to question why it is that way.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I thought maybe it'd be a detriment to you if you were creative and you were trying to fix everything that the person was giving you or the customer was giving you.
Yeah, you could butt heads a little bit. And, well, I would never want to deal with customers because that would be a pain, yes.
Just doing it like freelance?
Because at least our UX designers, they understand, like, programming a little bit, and they understand what's feasible, and they they do like studies, so they like ask people like, hey, when you came to this screen, where did your eyes go, and what was the first thing you saw, and how confused were you when you saw this button and what it said, and like they do all kinds of studies like that. Like they're actually going out there and like
that's pretty cool,
surveying people like how confused they get when they just look at a screen.
Yeah.
So like they're doing their due diligence to make sure that what they're making is
it makes sense,
what the customer wants, because that's part of the user experience. But then like customers are just like, I want this button to flash and move around the screen. I was like, that's stupid. And like, no, I want it. It's like, okay, I guess you're paying. So
I want it to look like a 90s web page for somebody famous.
Yeah.
You remember the way those used to look
back
in the day?
Old web pages were something else, man.
They were cool.
That's one way to describe it. I mean, they were definitely a lot more performant, I would say. They had way less fluff. Like people go crazy with animations and extras,
a lot less moving parts
back
back then too. It was really just stationary buttons here and there, or click this and read this wiki or whatever.
Yeah, here's some text, read it.
Yeah, and it looked like shit. I mean,
here's an image maybe,
colors.
And here's some text that describes that image, and then here's some more text, and now you've read my website.
Yeah. Now's got to be the best time to be in software developing, right?
Oh, I think it's a great time. Yeah,
for sure. It's booming.
I still don't understand how I get paid as much as I do for what I do, because I feel like other people could do it.
It seems easy to you?
Yeah, it does. And like, I mean, I feel like with how good Google is, I feel like I'm just a really good Googler.
Yeah. Well, that's how the cyber and tech world is. I mean, I'm in the same kind of industry,
Right.
It's all Googling.
How well can you Google a problem?
Exactly.
Because the answer's out there.
Yeah.
It's just you got to go find it. Yeah, and I feel like other people can go out there and find the answers just as well as I can.
It also takes a long time to learn a programming language, though, too. Like, you didn't just learn that overnight. It's not easy by any means.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would say I'm more proficient in certain languages than others, and it definitely takes years of working with them to get to that level.
Yeah.
Because I definitely look up a lot less about like basic stuff with JavaScript, for instance, now than I used to.
I think it's just imposter syndrome.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Every developer suffers from imposter syndrome.
For sure.
But like, I mean, at the same time, it imposter, but I also still kind of believe it too, because it's like, you could probably do what I do. You could Google it.
Yeah,
you wouldn't want to. Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe I just have enough drive to actually Google it and solve it, and you're just not interested enough. Maybe that's it. Maybe people aren't interested.
You have
enough.
to be very interested, and you have to practice a lot and understand how it works. It's like playing the piano. A lot of people could play the piano if they put the time into it. If they took the time to learn it and practice every day.
But nobody wants to do that.
Exactly. Nobody wants to do that. They want to just be good instantly.
Yeah.
Same with coding. I mean, people are probably interested in it. They're like, yeah, I would love to be a software developer. Look what they get paid. Look at the beer they drink at work, the beanbag chairs. But they also don't want to take the time to sit there and learn how a language works and how to write a language.
And that's the other thing with software is it's constantly evolving because, computers, they're constantly getting better and faster, and there's constantly new stuff coming out all the time. So with programming, you constantly have to evolve. Like the language you used 2 years ago could be considered a shit language now that nobody wants to work in.
Yeah.
And you might be a master in that language, but it doesn't matter because all the new companies, they want somebody working in this language. So you got to move on.
Unless it's something specialized that nobody knows anymore.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. You got to.
Then you can use that as a selling point.
Yeah. Yeah. True. Everything has, its exceptions.
Right.
But you have to evolve with, you have to constantly be learning in software. Languages constantly have new versions that come out. You got to be up to date with the new versions. They're constantly fixing security issues. They're constantly fixing bugs. There's all kinds of stuff. So you got to be interested, like you said, because you got to be on top of that.
For sure. And that's why I never got into it, really, because I can't do it. I mean, when you first started looking at code and writing code, were you actually interested in it and liked it? Or did you just realize that it's a useful skill to have and you kind of wanted to go down that path?
You mean like when I was on the web team, like doing websites and stuff? Or
yeah.
I don't think I had very much. I don't think I realized I actually really, really enjoyed it until I actually got into college, to be honest.
But you actually do enjoy it?
I do.
The writing the code part?
That's the best part of my job. When I'm actually just sitting down writing code, I like that. I don't like all the meetings. I don't like all the planning. I don't like all the discussions. I like talking to people. Don't take this as I'm antisocial and I hate talking to people. I like talking to people, but I don't like planning. I hate planning.
Yeah, but how could you possibly enjoy sitting there writing code?
Because like I said, it's like solving a puzzle.
Is it?
At the end of the day, with that satisfaction that I get when I hit the save button and I push my code and it's done and I can look at it and it behaves and it's like I solved it. I fixed it.
That's pretty cool.
Or there's a bug.
I gotta admit.
And I'm like, okay, there's this bug here, and these people are like, hey, this isn't working the way it's supposed to. And I just go in there, I'm like, oh yeah, I know why it's not working like that. I need to do this. I need to change this, and you have to figure that out.
Yeah.
And it's a puzzle you solve. It's a little game you get to play. Every day.
I get that. Yeah, I get that for sure.
And yeah, and it's kind of like a hurdle or like a competition. You get to be better than somebody else because somebody else wrote this bug, and you're like, I came in there and I figured it out better than you did.
Yeah.
So it's a little fun little game where you just gotta solve things, and
it's a nerdy game, but
it is.
I can understand the satisfaction though.
Video games are like that too. Like there's some things where you just gotta solve puzzles and stuff in video games and stuff. People like doing that. It's just a different way of doing it. And people work on puzzles all the time for fun. Like people buy jigsaw puzzles and put those together for fun.
True. I was never really one of those.
People do brain teasers or all those things. Like people like to challenge themselves. Yeah, Sudoku, exactly.
Yeah.
Or Wordle or something like that.
Wordle.
People
That's a
love
big one
that.
now.
Yeah, people love just challenging themselves.
It's satisfying.
It is. And then when you figure it out, you get that dopamine hit.
Right.
So.
Have you ever had any weird requests for anything?
Like what?
Like just I want this developed, or I want it to look like this, or I want this big porno website developed.
No, but I have worked with guys that worked for a porn company before.
Have you?
I worked with a lot of guys in Hungary, and they I think there was 8 or 9 of them that worked at a porn company previously before they worked at the company I was working at with them. Because there's apparently a lot of porn companies in Hungary or something like that. So
that would be a crazy job to have.
Oh yeah,
a software developer on the front end for a porno company.
Oh, that would be interesting.
That would, yeah.
Got to get those thumbnails just right.
Got to get them just right. I want this animated girl to come in and spread her legs, and there's the button.
Or those intrusive ads that come in your screen with those dick enlargement pills, and you got to program that. Somebody's got to program that. Somebody programmed that ad to pop in front of your face, and that woman going,
yeah.
Hey, I'm in your area.
Oh, yeah. Local hot singles in your area.
When do we make that pop up? When they've been on the site for about 15 seconds.
15 seconds,
pop that up.
yeah. Or you have to do the consent banner that says, "Are you 18 or older?" And all you do is click yes.
No, I don't even know if that's hooked up to anything. It's just there so that I don't get fined, and you just click yes or no, and it makes no difference.
Would you work for a porn company if they made you a good offer?
Probably, if they paid enough. I mean, I don't necessarily love storage systems. I'm not out there developing. I'm not out there working just because I'm in love with developing storage systems or anything. But they treat me well. They pay me well. They're respectful of my time, and I mean, I got no issues with them. So
you could always be watching porn, and if somebody calls you out on it, just say, "This is my job.
I'm working." That might get distracting.
That's the beauty of your job, though, is that you can do all sorts of stuff like that.
Yeah, that is a really nice thing about software. Is every industry needs software.
Everything needs software nowadays.
Even if they thought they didn't, like agriculture probably needs software nowadays. Like there's all, like, I bet those new tractors and combines and stuff have all kinds of advanced software on them.
Well, they all have big screens in them now, and they all have a GUI, big graphic interface.
Everything needs software.
Yeah, somebody has to write that.
So really, if you're picky enough and you really want to wait for the perfect job, you could probably get into the industry of your dreams in software too.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, it's very nice.
That's definitely a big plus in my opinion.
Unless you want to do video games, then you just get paid terribly.
Yeah.
So avoid that.
Unless
you like video games.
Because that's oversaturated.
Yeah, right? Because everybody wants to do it. So they know that they can pay them little because they want to do it so bad.
Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, I'll pay you. Not great, but you want to do it, right? I'm like, yeah, I'll take it.
It's kind of the same as playing video games too, right? People that want to play video games for a living are at a huge disadvantage because there's somebody out there that's always better than you.
Oh yeah.
It's like being a pro basketball player, right?
I mean, it's like that in everything. There's always somebody out there better than you.
That's true.
There's very few exceptions to that. There's a few people that are the best, yes, but
I feel like a lot of people these days want to be famous on Twitch or streaming video games, right? And it's so saturated with
I don't think people realize how much work those people put in either, though. Like, it's just like you said, like they got to put in a lot of. They have a lot of interest in it, and
and do it all the time.
Yeah,
to get that good.
And they got to like read up on how to get the best viewers. When's a good time to stream this game? Like, what's my main market for this? Like, there's all kinds of stuff like that.
That's going to be your life if you're doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a job. Like, a lot of those people just think that those guys that are like streaming on Twitch or YouTube or whatever are just doing it for fun. I mean, yeah, sure, they're probably having more fun than your average Joe working at his job, but they're doing a job. Like, if you can read about it, and a lot of them find out that they're the ones that are like stuck on a single game, they start not even enjoying playing that game. They just play it because it's their job at that point. And that's how they make their money. But I mean, that's not always the case. But it becomes a job, and it does sometimes probably suck.
I think that's the way it is with everything, honestly. Yeah. I mean, even if you love playing guitar and it's your hobby and your dream, and then all of a sudden you have to do it every single day for a crowd of people, then it becomes a chore.
Yeah, I mean, you can love something and really enjoy doing it, 95% of the time. But there's probably still some times where you're just like, I don't want to do this. Just like everybody at their job. Right. Probably feels at some point, I don't want to be doing this right now.
Yeah.
But, we got to get paid.
You do got to get paid. So what would you recommend to people out there that want to get into software development? Or if they just want to write code?
I mean, if anyone that wants to get in software development, if they're not already like out of college or whatever, I would say if you're in college or thinking of getting into it, just do an internship or co-op. I don't think I've ever seen an easier way to get into the industry than that. Like, if you can land an internship or co-op, it's almost, and then you're just, I would just say you have to be a half decent worker.
Yeah.
You can probably get a job after that.
Yeah. Would you recommend they learn coding on their own or just mainly from school?
I think that my school was valuable. I don't think it was as valuable as it cost, but
yeah,
I think it was valuable in the sense that it got me an internship and actually made people look at my resume. So to me, from my experience, I would say it's good to go the college route. But I would say don't worry about like it being I mean, obviously probably it looks better if it's like a big prestigious school, but a lot of times they just want you to see you have that degree.
Yeah.
And then your experience becomes the trumping factor over everything. So really, like I said, the big thing is internships and co-ops.
Yeah.
Just start working for a company. That's what they want.
Just start getting that experience. Just the quicker you can. And
like, yeah, when I started for my internship, I was not getting paid well. It was like a minimum wage. Well, it wasn't minimum wage at the time. It was a little more than minimum wage, but it was not a high paying job.
Yeah.
It was just, I needed to get my foot in the door. So.
But it was important that you did that.
Exactly. And I mean, it was nice because they, even though I was getting not paid well, they still, gave me all the free beer and
Right.
they flew me to Europe.
You got to live that fancy, prestigious lifestyle.
Yeah, I got a little taste of that nice life that made me want to really pursue and become better so that I could just have it. It's
very appealing.
It is.
People are always jealous of tech people. I'm sure you get shit from people that don't have beanbag chairs and stuff sometimes, or get a drink at work.
Yeah, people always laugh because of like the time I get up in the morning, or like they're always like, "Oh, what time do you have to get up?" I was like, oh. Sometimes I roll out of bed at like 9:30. Sometimes I get up 8:30. Sometimes 9:30.
Right.
I usually have a meeting till 10, so I don't really have to get up till then.
Damn.
That's
a good life.
And
it pays well.
Yeah.
It's. I don't know a software developer that doesn't make pretty good money.
Yeah, even the lowest paid software developers are making decent money.
Right.
Like, even if you're not getting paid well, you're getting paid pretty well.
Yeah. It's a great industry to be in.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. Well, let's wrap this up. What do you say?
I say we should.
We got carne asada to grill after this.
Oh, I cannot wait.
I can't either. You want to vortex these last two? No, I'm not going to try that again.
Not a chance.
I apologize to everybody that is watching this right now, because I look like a pig from the beginning.
I have my fiance watching right now, and she would never look at me the same again if I attempted that.
No, we'll get out of here, man. Danny, thank you so much for sharing your stories and your experience, and for coming back and doing this. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on for the third time.
Yeah, let's do it again.
Hopefully this will be the first one people see.
This will be the first one people see.
Okay.
This will be your first appearance on
Unless Glover really screwed things up over there.
Yeah. Oh, shit. He didn't record it.
All right. Well, I'll see you next week.
Hey, cheers, Danny.
Cheers.
Wasn't a vortex, but I killed it still.